Alright, greetings everyone, and it is time for another video of reviews for a brand new EX patch that has just come out yesterday. Thankfully, Wotv has updated, giving us a better idea of the numbers, because when I was streaming yesterday and we only had the details and the descriptions, it's a little bit hard to evaluate whether or not our new characters were going to be really impactful on the game or not, but I think we have a better idea now. So I'm going to start first of all with Marielle. This character, of course, came with our some of our side stories, and the side stories have disappeared a little bit, mainly because right now the content creators for this game seem to be focusing more on the Warrior of the Crystals and the Fest characters, so, you know, that's fine. But it is nice to see some of these characters come back into the discussion, because I do like a lot of the designs of some of these characters. They seem very fantasy, even if this armor seems like a really bad idea in battle. Alright, so, Marielle. This character has always been kind of, how to say this, pretty interesting, I think, because, you know, Thief gives her a little bit of speed, Arithmetician gives her some really capable damage abilities, and Spellblade has some really nice defense capabilities as well as damage. So Marielle has always been this interesting damage dealer for the light element that I think has done really nicely, and she's a little bit, like I said, she's been a little bit more defensive. So taking a look at what we get into her EX. So as you can see, we have some magic stat, we have some spirit stat, a little bit of TP, HP, more spirit and HP node up there, and just more HP, more magic, some other stuff in there. So what do we think? Well, honestly, the stats are nice, and they are painting an early picture of essentially how this unit is going to be upgraded in which direction. So taking a look here, this is her increased magic resistance and increased dark resistance. Now, before dark resistance was getting only 12%, and dark resistance on this ability will now go up to 24%, which is a pretty high amount, and light is looking pretty strong. The Fina, Engelbert, as well as Jaden combo on the JB side seems to be a pretty popular one in high tier guilds, and it is capable of dealing a lot of damage. So is this character a potential new slot in? Well, given in limited time guilds, where I think the discussion is most of the time, and the fact that light will be getting a second, all of the elements will be getting a second selection quest, it does mean that this character's upgrade is valuable and could slot nicely in with, you know, some limited capability stuff where you don't have the option to just go all EXs, or you want vision cards in. I mean, this character can deal pretty nice damage, and this is a pretty big resistance against dark elemental teams, which are still kind of popular. So it's good. Also, taking a look at the what this ability gets as well, increased spirit debuff resistance by 100 for self. So it does mean that she is a little more protected against her spirit stat. There is a good amount of spirit debuffing out there, so this makes this, I think this character is pretty solid in terms of how defensive she can be and how protective she can be against herself. I don't think that she's ever going to be a SSR tank at this point, because, well, there are just better things going on with other tanks anyway, but if she's just a little more durable, that's good enough for a damage dealer sometimes. Now, taking a look at her other ability to get upgraded, this is her barrier ability. So this ability gives her a magic barrier that, you know, reduces by 50% for 3 times magic damage taken. And it's still 2 uses, it's still 40 TP, which I think is fair. But now it also increases her spirit by 25 for 3 turns. So if you think about the fact that she's getting a little bit of extra spirit, her equipment, and this ability, which her AI will probably not be apprehensive to cast, that's really nice. But she also gets a increased max HP and restores that HP by 15% for 3 turns. So giving her a pretty big HP boost, and since she is getting some HP and a big, upgrade HP node, she should have a good amount of HP to leverage this ability, and it's just making a good ability already better. And taking a look at her last one right here, decrease spirit by 30 for 3 turns, and deal a 165% modifier, 3 uses, 26 AP with an AoE as well. It's nice that they gave her an extra damage ability, and it's a kind of a counter against other mages. Do I think that this is... I mean, Marielle's direction is very clear at this point. She's an anti-mage unit in the light element against dark, so really let's just narrow that down to maybe Lemure and of course Dark Witch Helena, 2 units that, well, I think are still relatively possible to be seen, although Lemure has decreased on the JP side since a lot of the high tier teams are going for the light element lately. So I don't really think that this character answers too much of a problem, but in terms of selection quest capability, probably going to be one of those ones that will be a valuable build at some point, and I think some people just like her, so I think her EX is solid. I would say B+, just because this time I'm feeling she's so specialized against dark magic that that specialty, while very nice, we are seeing a lot of more elements on the JP side, so we're seeing a lot of earth, we're seeing a lot of wind, I think we're going to start seeing more fire again. And that kind of counters the whole light-dark thing. While light is definitely strong, it does take an advantage of, beating dark into a pulp at this point. So yeah, Marielle, I think B+, because it is a good focused upgrade that will make her specialty, but that specialty also kind of limits who she can go up against. Next up, and one of my personal favorite characters, is Loreila, and obviously this month I'm all about bows since we have a brand new fire bow character who's looking to be just absolutely incredible. So this is one of my favorite characters. I just want to shout out her design and everything because I think it looks so cool. It's more battle appropriate armor, which is something I often am talking about, but it really does matter to me in a game like this where constantly everyone is fighting and nobody's had a single beach episode yet. Yes, we've had beach characters, but no beach episode. What's up with that? Anyway, Loreila, a character that I've always really liked but never thought has reached the heights. What is she getting in her EX? Well, taking a look at stats, we got some speed. That's important as always. Dexterity, luck, attack. Interestingly, this is one of the first times I think we've ever seen, and I could be forgetting someone, so apologies if I am, but this is one of the at least very rare nodes to see, an AP node. And this is going to go really in on everything that we have to talk about with this character. So taking a look at skills, what are we getting upgraded? Well, right here, this is a support skill, which is always nice to see. A range increase and accuracy increase for her before, which was probably a pretty solid choice for a support skill. Now it gets even better where she gets an increase to critical damage by 20 for herself. And this is very much the theme with Loreila. She is 100% a critical bow damage dealing lady now. Alright, so young lady. Alright, so taking a look at what ability this is, well, this is her large AoE ability. This one is obviously always a big talking point with these kind of characters because it's a big AoE, it has a high AP cost, and is it worth it? Well, it might be a little more worth it now It's keeping the same damage modifier, keeping the same AoE number of uses and AP, but a restore AP of 20 when performing a critical hit. And her last ability before we talk about everything is this. As you can see, it's a pretty big range on it already. 3 use, 28 AP. Increase critical damage by 25 for herself. Damage of a 200% modifier and increase range of 2 for 1 turn when performing a critical hit. So Loraila's upgrade is very focused on criticals and critical damage. And taking a look at her stats, honestly, it's not the most encouraging, because while her dexterity is pretty good, I feel that her luck is a little bit lacking. It's going to get improved here, and so it's her dexterity. So both of those things are really important. Getting higher attack is also important. And a little bit more speed makes her a little bit more competitive with some of the other units out there. But the big thing that's missing in all of this is basically a higher way to get criticals. More chances to get criticals. And there are some support out there, and obviously there is equipment and the killer bow, which has a really nice critical version of it. And I do think that there are some good critical bows as well. So I think that it really isn't, and it isn't unfeasible that this could happen. Like, you're taking a look at one of her strongest abilities, one of her biggest AoEs that could catch multiple enemies in there. And if it does catch multiple enemies in there, well, then you're getting an AP refund of 20, which effectively reduces the cost of the ability down to 25, which is much better, way better than it used to be. And she's getting more AP and an AP node, which means that AP regeneration equipment is going to be more effective on her as well. And the range increase on her new ability, which also just, ups her critical damage. She's a very high roll character now. If she does hit a critical, she's going to be hitting really hard on the enemy and dealing a lot of damage and restoring AP with big AoEs. Loreila looks way better than she used to. I don't, as much as I love the unit, I really didn't think she was anything to be considered in terms of a danger, and now I think she's more dangerous. I think that this is a really nice upgrade, a totally, maybe even a little bit better than reasonable upgrade for a mid-tier rarity unit, and I think that she will be I am going to build her, and I'm going to try her out, and I'm going to see where she ends up, because if nothing else, she should be really good at clearing out a selection quest, especially on a high roll right now. So, and I think she's going to be an amazing farmer for selection quests, which is something I never talk about, but selection quests are farmable for awakening materials, and now with this, totally reasonable to run her. Absolutely, I think her EX is very nice, so I'm giving her an A-, because if the high roll does happen, I think she's just going to flatten a lot of enemies, and I'll be testing her out to see how much more damage she's capable of. But I am excited for her to be really good, and I wish I had more of these stupid pink dragons to upgrade all the characters that I need to upgrade. But that's a different point. Alright, and now we've saved the highest tier unit for last, since it is a UR unit, Skahal, who is a character, or Skahal, or something. This is a character that I've just... Okay, first of all, I like his design. I actually like his side story. He's a character that I've kind of wanted to use. And as you can see, theoretically, I could EX him today. It's just totally possible for me to do this kind of stuff. And I've even already started working a little bit towards him. But I kind of fell out on the fact that he's just never felt that amazing. He's never really excelled. As a mage, I feel like he just kind of falls flat, which kind of sucks, because I do wish that he did have more capabilities. So really, this EX is make or break for this character. If he was ever going to shine, this is the only time for him, and after this, we're just going to forget about him if he can't get there. So magic, we got luck, we got AP, we got what else? more magic, a little bit more speed, which is good because he definitely needed it. Magic nodes, magic, and yeah, that's great. All of that stuff is really good. And very focusing on him being a DPS, and thankfully his EX upgrades continue in that direction. First of all, his mage support that gives him a 30% increase for magic will also now increase magic resistance penetration, and this is what we needed on this character in a really big way. He needs to be able to get around defensive capabilities, and this is a permanent thing. And again, on stream yesterday when I was looking at him, it's like, this really depends on the amount that he gets, and he got 40. 40 is not a small amount. 40 is a pretty big magic resistance. I mean, I kind of would even push for this character to get 50, just so he could be really relevant and really talked about, because Thunder as an element right now, man, is it really debatable whether or not as a mage. I think it's really looking for that one last big push to be a really viable type of damage dealer out there. So yes, good support skill, exactly what he needed. Would be nice if he had a little more like spirit penetration, obviously. That's just taking a look at his kit. What do we got here? I really feel like that is something that is still missing from him, and it's still going to be missing from him. So that's a little bit disappointing. His counter does get better though. It does get an increase on range. It not only does it get an increase on range, it also goes up on counter chance to 50% maxed out. 50% is a pretty good chance of it countering. It's still dealing the same amount of damage, but it also decreases magic and attack by 40% for 3 turns for whoever gets hit by it. That's great if he survives. There's 2 big talking points about counters. First of all, there are units out there that just remove the chances for any counters to activate, and that makes this upgrade totally worthless. And more importantly, with Setia now, the Fire Archer on the JP side, there's an AoE that can do this from range, from a really high range. So this is, I'm not feeling this upgrade at the moment at all. Taking a look at the debuff, I mean, it's nice, but he has to survive. And looking at a lot of his stat upgrades, it's mostly on magic. It's not on HP, and it's not on survivability. So I think that might be a little bit dubious. I'm not a big fan of this counter upgrade. I think he should have gotten an ability that gave him a little bit of spirit penetration for a few turns maybe, and that would have really, shored up this character. Thankfully though, his new job level 25 ability is something worth talking about. Large AoE, 3 uses, 30 AP, all very reasonable. Has a little bit of casting time on it, but we're not going to hold it against it. Taking a look at this ability though, it decreases lightning resistance by roughly 40% for 3 turns to targets, and has a 185% modifier on it. It is a really big damage ability, and this is where we get to the discussion about this character and whether or not I recommend his EX. And very, very, very simply, I don't recommend his EX right now. I do think that his EX is generally good. It seems to be focused towards the DPS category. It seems like it has a very clear goal in mind, and it seems to be supporting thunder magic very nicely. So that's the question then, or the question that needs to be posed at this point is very, very simple. Is there another thunder mage on the way? And I want to refer back to this post, and specifically this image, and what is kind of the best pattern right now. First of all, we get the light element. Lucio was free for everybody. Secondly, we get Jum, who's a wind element. Not really any counters so far. Then we got Setia, a fire elemental character, who doesn't counter Jum and actually works with Jum, and is, for the most part, just kind of, like, it's not a direct counter between either of those characters. At this point, this makes me think that the third character is going to be another element that doesn't counter these two characters at this point. Also, taking a look at his design with these pieces in the back makes me think that it is very plausible that he could be a Thunder Elemental Mage. I'm not expecting a Thunder character for Halloween, so in the month of November, we could see a Thunder Mage character. If that's the case, then building Skahal is really recommendable in that specific outcome, because he really needs another Thunder-capable DPS to really leverage him, that can also potentially reduce the Spirit stat and attack enemies very strong. And the Fest characters have been very, 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 very powerful. Like, it is potentially recommendable that you run right now Setia with the Luatha EX at the end of the month, another fire range character, because Setia is just so strong. But here we have Skahal coming early, and we just don't know. So recommending a full build of him at this point, I think it really depends if there's another Thunder Mage in the future. If there's a really good, solid Thunder Mage that's coming up here who is a Fest character, this character is going to be a very easy recommendation. And probably I'd give him an A even. Like, I really do think that it has the potential there. But it depends what this next character is. But the pattern seems to be there, I think, for right now. Basically, Fests not stepping on each other's toes, allowing them to be very strong. Yeah, so, I don't know. This entire EX patch, I think, is very recommendable for a lot of it. Like, Marielle seems pretty okay, but very specific. Loreila seems like a really good farmer, and provided you can get the critical hits, a very powerful character potentially. And Skahal, I think, has the absolute potential, but it really depends whether or not there is that next Thunder Mage. And if it's a Fast Thunder Mage, that really improves his evaluation a lot, because you can run Thalia/Saria, you could run her in combination with Skahal, and last but not least, this Thunder character to be named. So yeah, I think there's potential there, but in terms of exactly what I'm going to give him at this point, I think it's going to be a big old wait and see. There's potential though, and I think that will make some fans of this character happy. So yeah, a lot of discussion points today, but I think they're all worth talking about. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you in the next one.